I've got to find something up here to do it. Because one of the things I hear from athletes all the time is I know I have the tools to be successful. I'm just not accessing it. So what gave you that invitation to access it?
I think it's here, but I also think it's here. Like if it's not here, then there's no way it's here. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like if it's not in your heart, then you're not going to get out of bed every single day on those hard days, on those days where you don't want to do it, right? Because we all have that. There's no secret to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me every day you wake up and you're like, yeah, I feel like $1 million. No, like you're going to go through ups, downs, this, that, and the other throughout those days. And some of us have tools, and some of us have tools, and some of us don't. But on those days, you have to find a way to break through. So for me, that was the biggest possible thing. Finding a way to break through on those days where you don't want to break through.
See, that's so critical, though, because so many people see those bad days as a reflection or judgment of themselves versus this is the challenge day. Like, you didn't look for your A-plus day, right? I think the reason I wanted to have you on was twofold. One is, we talk a lot about strategy. We talk a lot of swing. We talk about a lot of things in sports. But club fitting is so critical because if you don't do it right, people find themselves in trouble. And a lot of my buddies that I play with are like, they're changing heads and all this, and they're not getting fit. Why is it so important for the best players in the world to be fit properly?
Well, it's important for everybody. I mean, and granted, there is and I have to say this out loud because getting fit in today's game, it's expensive. It's a cost, right? It would be considered still, although essential, it's still a luxury item. If you're going to go out and buy a brand new set of sticks, and if you take your game seriously, meaning you want to get better and you're going to invest your time in your game, and you're going to go out and buy new golf clubs and get them fit because it's only to your benefit to have tools that are made for you.
Hey, welcome back to Mental Game Live. This is probably one of the episodes I've been the most excited about because we've got the real athletes on tonight. We've got the athletes on the diamond that are the ones that take care of the business. Some pitchers, the most dominating pitchers we probably haven't seen in a very long time. I know I'm biased, known Montana Fouts for a very long time, most dominating college pitcher in softball, and Paul Skenes from LSU, my alma mater. Never seen a pitching stat like we've seen this year. Domination. Bash, are you ready to receive and catch it? Let's go. Let's bring them on. Let's get them started. I know you got a little bit of an intro video for these two, so let's roll the Montana Fouts for Alabama softball, Paul Skenes, LSU baseball, two most dominating pitchers we've ever seen in the sport. Welcome to Mental Game Live.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We got the mustache and the ponytail, don't we?
Yes, sir.
I think Montana is well known around the softball world of young pitchers wearing the ponytail and getting it squared away. Paul, some of your fans may be too young to grow a stash, but it is pretty ripe.
Awesome.
All right, so I want to ask some questions about the middle game. We're going to go back and forth, but what a great opportunity. I just want to give you guys some stats that are listening at home on this. Some stats that I pulled on. So Montana Fouts finished this year with a 1.51 ERA with 323 strikeouts and 230 innings. Finished 25-11. And Paul had a 1.69 ERA with 209 strikeouts and 122 innings, finishing 12-2, and won the national title at my alma mater at LSU baseball without even pitching in the championship series. I don't know where you were. I don't know what you were doing for 3 days and taking that time off. Montana's career, she was 132 over 852 innings with 1,181 strikeouts with a career ERA of 1.66. Absolute domination. Paul, not much different between from LSU and the United States Air Force Academy with a 23-6 with 11 saves, 235 innings pitched, 335 strikeouts, career ERA of 2.18. And how many home runs did you hit, Paul?
I think 24 across 2 years.
Okay, so you could mash. All right, so absurd. Okay, both of you. Okay, I want to go back and forth. Montana, I'm going to start this with you. You had an intensity on the mound in the diamond in the circle, the mound. We're the mound tonight. What did you have to do to find that game in and game out?
I feel like the biggest thing is just figuring out why I loved it again. I feel like it kind of went in and out of spurts, especially with my whole college career. And I think especially going through the whole failure part, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, but knowing why you love it. And I just love competing. Like, I love being out there. I love the pressure. I love that part of it. So in those moments, I think that's what brought it out. I just love being in those situations.
And I'll give you some insight. I've known Montana working at Alabama for 5 years, and I'll tell you, we've had a few phone calls where you were like eating steel. Like, I just don't understand. It's a rare trait for somebody like you to be that competitive, isn't it?
I think so. I think sometimes it can bite you in a way just because you want it so bad and you just want to be out there so bad. So that way, when it doesn't go your way, it gets a little bit more frustrating. But I think that it's a blessing and a curse.
Blessing and a curse. Paul, what about you? I mean, you came to LSU from Air Force Academy. First question I have is, how the hell did you end up at the Air Force Academy with your talent? I mean, I'm not knocking the Air Force. I mean, as you know, my family's military, but I think it's awesome. But how did you end up at the Air Force Academy for 2 years? Like, did nobody ever travel to your city?
No, that's all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do was, out of high school was really serve. Baseball was kind of a secondary priority for me, and I just wanted to serve and I wanted to fly. And my priorities changed a little bit over the last couple of years, but that was my goal going into college.
Where did you find your intensity on the mound? Because yours was a quiet, calm. Like, I watched Montana knowing her, and I could see it just building. Like, get in the box. Let's go. Come on. I'm going to get you, and I'm coming after you. And for you kind of hit me as a little bit more stoic, and it was like, I'm just going to continue to come at you. Where did your intensity come from?
Yeah, I think like her, a lot of it was just loving to compete and loving to win. That's really all. I mean, that's why I play baseball. I play baseball to win. And I think a lot of the intensity, outside of that, I think it comes from my preparation and knowing that I did enough to, knowing that I did more than the hitter, knowing that I did enough to beat the hitter, and that I prepared well enough to have success.
How many days for both of you when you got up there? Montana, you had the unique thing of many times having to face the lineup twice in one weekend. And as a baseball player, you go through the lineup, you go through the rotation once, and then you watch for 2 days as a starting pitcher. How many times were you out there that you felt like you had your 100% or 90% best stuff?
For me, I think 19 starts this year. I probably had 5 or 6 of them with my best stuff.
Did you know it when you were out there?
I probably figured it out by the second or third inning.
What about you, Montana?
Yeah, I would probably say similar to the percentage, especially in the later part of the season, just being injured a little bit. But I would say not that many times with 100%, especially. I mean, feel like that's different every year. I don't, especially, I don't like it to give up hits or runs, so I wouldn't count that as my best stuff. But yeah, I would definitely say only a few.
So the reason I ask that question is so many athletes are, created, and parents a lot of times are believing that their kids should be perfect every time and they should have the best stuff every time. And yet here's the two most dominating pitchers that we have. I mean, and here we are competing, and you guys are both saying, 4, 5, 6, 7 starts. So where did you find that ability to compete without chasing what was missing that day? Paul?
I feel like
Montana, go ahead,
Yeah.
Montana.
I feel like for me, like he said, I really found it as in I would just work so hard outside of, playing. I love to practice. I love to see that growth. So I think working my butt off to where I knew that nobody else had worked that much, I could just go out there and rely on that and just playing free. And if I didn't have it, I still can and will beat you with 60, 70, 50% if I had to. So I think it's just the preparation part for me.
Just knowing that you had a tool in the toolbox, like you
Yeah,
had something to get them with.
Yeah, like I'll always be able to rely on the work that you put in,
What about you, Paul? How did you find that? Because, there are guys that throw hard. There's guys that, both of you threw extremely hard, and yet you get hit, right? So if you didn't have that, what did you rely on to kind of make that transition?
Yeah, I think the nice part is both of us are good enough that we have something to lean back on. For me,
I didn't have that.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't have that.
It's my velocity and my slider, but some days you're not going to be able to command either of those pitches, and you kind of just have to go out there and compete. And again, that comes back to the preparation piece, and so much of it is scouting and knowing enough about the hitter's weaknesses and everything you're facing to where you can exploit those as much as you can, even if you don't have the best stuff. And so that preparation is so big, and that's something that I think I realized over the past year, even more so than the 2 years prior.
There's a lot of similarities between Alabama softball and LSU baseball. Coach Murphy, who's the Alabama softball head coach, built the SEC softball, and now he's competing against all the programs that were built up in opposition. LSU baseball, even though Georgia won it in 1990, we won it in 91, 93, and then built a legacy that you walk out there. And both are leading the nation in attendance, and pressure is huge. Talk to me about putting on the jersey and wearing and that kind of pressure. Montana, you've been a part of it for 5 years. COVID was a year that you kind of get lost halfway through, but what was it to wear the Alabama and follow the people who pitched ahead of you? Because the names are ridiculous. Jackie Trina, and just the list goes on, right? So what did that mean to play at that level, and how did you feel like you matched what it took to compete there?
No, I would say it was anything. It was just a complete honor to be able to pitch with the jersey. I fell in love with the program 10 years ago is when I committed. So I fell in love with them
10 years
just
ago.
growing up.
So you were in what, 8th grade?
Yes. Yeah.
Seriously. Okay.
I fell in love with it, and I just grew up watching them and knowing that I was going to go there. So just being able to watch them compete, show their love and how they were as teammates, it was an honor for me to wear their jersey behind them, for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Paul? You were in the college ranks, not at LSU. What was that like to go there?
Go to Air Force?
To go to LSU and because you came in as the ace, I'm assuming. I don't imagine you came in there to be the Tuesday night starter. So you had some expectations and responsibilities to perform there, right?
Yeah, I think LSU's reputation speaks for itself, and a lot of it is because of what you created while you were there and what.
I was around some really good dudes.
Yeah, but you were a part of it, and there were a lot of people that were a part of it, and the legacy there is something that there are 6 national championships that hang on the sign outside the stadium. Everybody can see it, and but the cool thing is somebody has to create that legacy, and so our goal this year was to win a 7th national championship and put the 2023 on there, and we did, and the nice thing is we hopefully started another legacy of winning in this decade and beyond.
When you guys look at preparation, did you each have I don't say a checklist in your mind, but knowing that the key components of your success are based on a couple factors? Because I hear players say a lot of times, I prepare, I work all the time, but I don't know if they're always working on the right things. And so as a result, I put in the hard, I work hard, becomes this burden of success. Both of you talk very clearly about preparation. So did you guys both know what it took? Had you refined your systems down so much that you knew X, Y, and Z were critical to be successful?
Yeah, for me, it was something that I've refined over a period of time. I've always had a process, and I've always been a very process-oriented guy. I do have a checklist of stuff that I do to prepare my body. But I also have a mental checklist of stuff that I do to prepare my mind and, do do a bunch of stuff that I need to do throughout the week to be prepared to pitch on Friday nights. And that was something that I figured out along the way. And that's something that's going to continue to be refined with time as I, advance. But, it's fluid. It's something that you have to figure out over time and that you can keep refining, to help you just prepare as best as possible.
Montana, what about you? What did you do leading into weekends and stuff? What was your checklist type of thing?
I would definitely agree with the mental preparation too. I think physically it would just be knowing your body and listening to it as far as, like you said, if location, maybe not be able to spot up a rise or a drop ball and tunnel it how exactly I would be, but learning my body and in those practice days on if I'm not able to do that, how can I adjust to still get the job done come Friday and Sunday and maybe even on Saturday and being able to adjust in that way. But definitely mentally staying locked in is like competing in practice. Like I want to compete in practice so that way all season long I'm always the flip is always up, so never really coming out of that competition. And even if we're not competing in practice, I'm competing with myself. So I think that kind of leads into the weekend a little bit.
I got a question for you guys, just kind of on kind of going off of the preparation. I think I'm interested as a catcher, spending a lot of time with a pitching staff, and you learn different personalities of different guys that get on the mound or in the circle or whatever. I'm interested in, like, you mentioned your all's processes and how you but take me in through like a day in the life of Paul Skenes and Montana Fouts. For the young people that may be listening, like, what does that look like? Like, is there a certain meal that you guys eat? How far in advance? Like, are you watching tape? Or are you looking at scouting reports? What does the day of a start look like? Kind of like, take me through what you all do to get yourself ready so that when 7:00 on Friday night hits, like, you're ready to go. You toe the rubber. Like, I've done everything that I can to be ready to go right now.
Yeah, it starts for me, you go Friday, you pitch on Friday, you take Saturday off, lift Sunday, throw Sunday, lift Monday, Tuesday, throw Monday, Tuesday, and throw Thursday and lift Thursday. There's a process for all the physical stuff. With that, there's, I'm starting to do scouting probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, looking into the other team and preparing my game plan for them. We call it dry work, just basically visualizing stuff on the mound. We're out there and repping out, holds with runners on, practicing pickoffs, stuff like that, basically to where we can create any situation in our mind that to where we get to the game and there's nothing that you haven't encountered yet. And diet's a huge piece of it too. That's something that I learned along the way. On a Friday night or on a Friday night game, I have to have 3 meals before the game, and I have to eat a certain thing at each meal just to feel prepared physically. There's so much that goes into it all.
I heard a rumor.
Chicken Alfredo is chicken Alfredo.
Yeah, that's
it? Nice.
Yep,
absolutely.
Yeah, meal.
Be careful of that. Be careful of that. It happens at some point.
Montana,
we did before we get to
you?
Montana. Yeah, Montana, real quick, I have a question because I don't think his attention span is going to last long, but we had a question from Casey Beloso, who said, how much longer is that lip sweater going to last?
Oh, man. I don't know.
Sounds like a little running joke between the two teammates, huh?
Yeah.
So for our listeners, Kay Beloso's, I think he was there for 11 years at LSU baseball. I think he's in his 5th or 6th year. Probably has another year of eligibility, but hit the big home run against Florida in game 1 that took him into game 2. So, Cade, as a longtime camper, first-time caller, we appreciate your interest, Cade, and well done. All right, Montana, what was your day of preparation like?
I would say lots of, like, just knowing how to fuel your body. Like he said, diet is a huge part of that. So, like, that the whole week, just hydrating a lot. I can definitely tell the difference of when I do and don't. But I would say if I pitch Friday, come in on Saturday, and throw Sunday, Monday's an off day for me. So that's just kind of throwing my phone basically to the side all day. I don't want to talk. I just want to hang out all day. That's like my mental relaxation day, I would say. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is Tuesday is very light for me, and I think it's just getting my body back into it, kind of like a reset. And Wednesday, I'd start to watch film and watching the other teams and seeing how my body has reacted from the weekend and what I can do to better prepare myself for Friday, and kind of knowing their game plans a little bit. After playing for 5 years, just kind of knowing the teams a little bit more. I think that was helpful. But then Friday, I would say the 6 p.m. start, like Paul said, probably 2 to 3 meals. I usually would only get in 2 just because right before the games, I'm not a big chicken Alfredo girl. But I love Epsom salt baths. So I'm very superstitious in the fact that I'll take an Epsom salt bath before every game that I could possibly play. So all of them. And I eat 3 pieces of mango and drink my water in the Epsom salt bath. And then we play, and then I usually eat steak probably every Friday night.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes. What does post game nutrition look like for y'all?
Whatever I can get down. Adrenaline is a big thing for me. I can't sleep, can't eat really after a game. And so, for a 6 p.m. game, we finish at 9. I'm not going to bed until 1 a.m. and I might not even eat that night, which sucks.
Really?
And if I do, it's probably Canes or something like that. But I make up the calories in the next couple of days just because adrenaline it messes with me a lot.
How about you, Montana?
Yeah, I can usually put down a steak probably after the game, but I am the same way. I won't sleep. Even if we play at 11 o'clock the next day, I'll probably be up till 1 or 2.
It's the difference between college athletes of today. Ours was Taco Bell because it was open. And it was the 59, 79, 99 cent menus, but you guys are eating Canes and steak. Canes is like, whatever, it's good. What about coaching? Both of you had new pitching coaches this year. And I know that can be very disconcerting for some people to have to take on a new style. And how did y'all receive coaching? Because I don't know how Coach Johnson was, Jay or Wes Johnson at LSU about, and particularly with you, Paul, coming in, is like how hard they were on you. Montana, I know Murph is very demanding. Love that. So how did y'all manage the coaching feedback that you got? Because I'm assuming self-scouting was part of this, looking at your own film and receiving critiques.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is knowing what makes me good and continuing to do that, and then using what they have to offer. Also, Wes Johnson is the best pitching coach in the country, and I don't think it's. I'm biased, but I don't think it's particularly close. And so I put a lot of trust into him. It took a little bit of time to build that trust. It always will with me with coaches, just because I'm kind of wary of listening to new people that they might know a lot, but they could still screw you up. And that's something that I'm wary of, I think, as I meet coaches and as I go along my own development. But you always have to know, you can't forget what makes you good in the first place.
Montana?
Yeah, I would say I kind of went into it knowing that I could be a lot better than I was last year. I was a little bit disappointed in that. So just knowing that there was a lot of room for me to grow. I was still confident in myself, but I knew that Lance, our new pitching coach this year, could just bring a lot more to the table. I knew that he was good at everything I wasn't. Like, his strengths were my weaknesses. And I knew that I could do a lot better of just spinning it, just spinning. I've always tried to throw as hard as I possibly could. And that was something I lacked, was the spin and the movement and the tunneling and like a little bit deeper aspect of the game. So I knew him coming in the first day that we were going to get along, and we developed a good relationship from the start. So listening to him was easy, but he also was very open to me saying like things that I wanted and things that I needed.
So both of you came to your schools outside the region, right? Paul came in from the West Coast. Montana, you came in from Kentucky. Schools now are part of your essence, part of your blood. Like, Paul, are you going to have a place there in the offseason in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I will. I love Baton Rouge.
I didn't know if you were going to be heading over to Athens now with Wes.
No.
Don't fall for that. Don't do that. What about you, Montana?
Oh yeah, I'm in love with that place. Those people are my family.
You've made a huge impact on a bunch of them. Who did y'all study outside the game? Like did you study individuals? Do you study, like are you a fan of certain athletes or other people like that? Where did you collect some of your wisdom and insight?
I think for me in the sports, like sticking within sports, I think Michael Jordan and Kobe. It's probably who a lot of people look at, but they have a lot of really good stuff on the mentality side. And then outside of sports, I mean, you can transfer the military into sports. And when you go to a military academy, you have no choice but to kind of buy into that idea. So those are probably the two. Obviously, MJ and Kobe are the two people, but the ideas within the military, I think, are really huge too.
Gotcha. What about you, Montana?
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same with Michael Jordan and Kobe. I just absolutely love their mindset. And I think a lot of people, whenever you talk to maybe certain people about your mindset, they'll call you a little crazy. So it's kind of nice hearing people so successful having like the same mindset and just watching them. But I would say outside of that, I'm really big in my faith. So just having that has been a very big part of my life and good rock for me.
Both of you are leaving universities now, and you leave teammates and people that mean a lot to you. Each of you are going to go into new ventures. Paul, you have a big day coming up. Montana, you got a lot going on in your life. When you look back, and I'm going to ask a weird question, are there any regrets that you wish you could go back and do again? Whether it's spending more time with teammates, or that's one thing I look back at. I wish I'd spent more time and been present on bus rides. I know it sounds crazy. You hate them. You hate doing practices, but I miss those times. So is there anything you look back with regret?
I would say for me, I would think maybe earlier in my career, bringing out the true competitiveness. Like I really want my teammates to remember me as a fiery, somebody that's given them all of my heart, but all of my fire too. Like I want to push them as hard as I can. And I wish that maybe I would have done that. I know that's hard to do your freshman, sophomore year, but I think that I definitely was capable, and I wish I would have brought that a little bit harder the first couple years of school.
Not feeling like you had to kind of tamp down your emotions a little bit?
Right. Or just not really thinking like, oh, I'm the young one, so I'm not going to overstep my boundaries, just because I always respect to those that were older than me and my coaches. But I think that, and my coaches even, try to pull it out of me too. But I think a lot of it comes with experience. So I think that if I could go back knowing what I know, Murph always says, everybody can take 30 seconds of somebody getting on to them, but it's going to help them for a lifetime. So I wish that I would have really understood that my freshman year and brought that to the team.
I got a question for you guys just about, I feel like you guys are somewhat different, I guess, from a emotion standpoint. I feel like Montana, you're very demonstrative and, we'll get fired up, where Paul, I think you're, like Bhrett said, maybe a little bit more stoic, but both very competitive, just maybe expressing it in a little bit different way. We hear all the time from people and athletes like how bad emotion is for your game and whatever, but I feel like you both channel it and funnel it in a very productive way for both of you. Just talk about like how you use emotion, in the circle, on the mound, and kind of how you, I guess, use it to your advantage.
Yeah, I don't think you can eliminate emotion from the game, but you can't play emotionally, because if you play emotionally, it's going to get in the way of executing your plan, and that's something you just have to learn to do. In my experience, that's the only way you can do it is by practicing it and learning how to do it, which I think I've done a good job of. There's probably a little ways more to go, but the biggest thing is just learning how to channel that emotion in the right way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the biggest thing, I didn't always get so fired up. I feel like I fell in love with the game the more I played it and competed at a higher level. I feel like that made me fall in love with it. But what he said, I always practiced the professional and like the emotional approach. Like I knew that I loved winning. Like I want to win more than anything, and I hate to lose even more than that. So in each game, it was more of like a professional aspect of like, all right, my job is to win. I'm going to win this pitch. I'm not even going to look at the next inning. I'm going to win this pitch that I'm in right now. I'm going to win this inning. I'm going to win this batter, and I'll let the emotions fly after. But in that at bat, I'll just use my adrenaline. I'm not going to get upset. Just being able to practice and be mentally strong enough to where you're not going to fold just because you care so much. Because, I mean, the game's quick. The game knows. So just being able to bounce back really quickly.
Both of you had some very high-profile ends to your career. Montana, you had an unfortunate knee injury, but you pitched beautifully in the Women's College World Series, got your team to the World Series with some really gutty performances in the Super Regional. Paul, you were down on the bullpen for the last 4 innings in the blowout against Florida, but there was this thought. Talk to me about those situations, because there were some mind games there. There was some competing. Montana, I think very clearly of Murph coming out to talk to you with 2 outs in the top of the 7th, and you guys are down, and you were like, I'm not coming out. Talk to me about those. Montana, you go first, and then I'll come to Paul.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't happy with the injury, and I'm still not. I hate that happened, but honestly, if that's what it took to, I mean, I feel like it brought something else out of me too. So, I mean, I guess they say die to self to do whatever it takes to win. If that had to happen, that had to happen. So I think that just brought more love for the game for me. But as far as competing wise, I would never take a pitch off or never take a batter off of playing with those girls and like with that team and on that field. So he came out there, and I guess I can say this now, but he was like, hey, you want a curtain call? I was like, hell no, I don't want a curtain call. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. There's no way. He walked out. He said, I knew you were going to say that. But no, I love to play so much. And I knew that mentally there was going to be some thoughts try to creep in about not being able to be good enough. And I know we talked about some stuff like that, but I mean, there was no way that was going to hold me back for the last month of my college career. No way.
I thought it was brilliant to pitch with your knee. Real quick, where is that at right now? How are you doing?
Good. I hit a light jog earlier today. I threw a bullpen, and I'm feeling pretty good given the circumstance. But I'm excited. We go to Ireland tomorrow, so I'm fortunate enough to be playing for Team USA this summer. So I still get to do that. So I'm excited.
All right, Team USA. All right, Paul, how about you in the bullpen? I mean, covering up the camera during the game in the warm-up, in the tunnel, not letting Florida see that you love it. Just love it.
That was awesome.
I know. I just like sweet. Okay, so tell me what was going on in that process.
Yeah, I mean, we had a plan for it going into the game. We knew that if the game was close and it was the 7th, 8th, 9th, that I was going to go in and close it out. It wasn't there, obviously. But I was going to do everything to prepare for that moment. Would have been pretty cool to close out the College World Series, but it was nice to have that moment and, let Gavin Guidry do it. He's probably going to do it 2 more times when he's at LSU. So, it was cool to go out there and experience that. It was a cool little walk down to the bullpen and a cool walk back during that game. But, I wanted to go in, but honestly, a little bit glad that I didn't too.
For sure. I'm going to ask a couple more questions. We got a few questions that came in, and I'm going to let you guys go have your night. I know, Montana, you're at a family function. Paul, you got a lot going on right now too. But I will say this. Both of you allowed me to be a part of y'all's lives. Montana, I've known you for 5 years. Our conversations were wonderful. Thank you for that opportunity and to be a fan of you for 5 years. I'll continue to be a fan, but I loved our conversations. I loved when you'd call me and be like, and you were so like, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, damn straight it is. Let's go. Paul walking into the Hyatt or whatever that's called, and I walked in and you're like, dude, I hope that was you. That meant the world to me because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of both of you guys. So both of you doing that as an old guy, as somebody who's in this, made my heart full. I'm a huge fan. I can't tell you what it means to have both of you come on and spend your Wednesday night right now to do this and talk. So thank you for me to allow me to be a part of y'all's lives just a little bit, and just to say, like, I know y'all. Like, that's cool to me. I mean, I've got the Tiger Eyes here, but I've also got my SEC championship ring from Alabama softball up there. So
roll tide to that. Sorry, Paul.
Roll tide to that. Yes, roll tide. Hey, it's all right. I mean, it's okay. I mean, look. People always ask me, how do you work at Alabama? Come from LSU? Like, because I freaking love it. So that's why. So thank you all for allowing me to be a part of your lives. If there's one thing that each of you could say to the young kids that are out there that are watching that looked up to you to help them on their journey, what would you tell them?
I would say the game of baseball and softball is you're going to fail. I mean, regardless of how hard you work, the game, you're not going to be perfect as much as you want to be. So being being stable enough and surrounding yourself with people that can help you grow and help push you, even whenever you don't want to be pushed, is definitely the place that you need to be if you want to be successful, because you're going to fail, but you got to have people pick you back up, and you got to be strong enough to be picked up. So just preparing yourself for that. I mean, that doesn't mean being scared to lose, but practicing so much and preparing mentally and physically to where you can go out there and play free, then you're going to be successful.
Wonderful. Paul?
Yeah, I think kind of just like she said, it takes a lot of time of doing things right. And, you have to do a lot of things right for a long period of time to be successful on a big stage. And that's working hard. That's taking care of your academics, going out to the park every day and doing everything right. It sucks. The work sucks a lot of the time, but if you want to have success, you have to fall in love with it, because it's rewarding to be able to win.
Well, I got one more for you guys, if you don't mind. From a leadership perspective, y'all were both in a leadership role. Just talk about like the accountability piece and holding others accountable. You're both very competitive and hardworking. How do you handle, especially like in today's day and age, where in a leadership role in college athletics could be a little difficult, because now you like blend the relationship between friend and teammate as a leader. How do you handle that when, I've seen a lot of stuff about how hard you guys work and holding people accountable, calling them out when they're not working as hard. Just how do you handle that?
I think first it's just creating that relationship outside of softball, so that way that they know that you love them, because I do love all of my teammates, but whenever it comes time to get stuff done and do the job and win, if I don't feel like you're doing what that takes, then I think that I know that they know that I love them and it's coming from a place of love, and I'm just trying to make them better. But also the accountability part, I love that part of leadership, just because I feel like if I'm holding you accountable, I have to be even a step higher than that, because then you are equally just as right to turn that back around on me if you don't feel like I'm doing that. So I think holding others accountable makes you even better as a player, just because you're having to take an extra step too.
Yeah, I think especially now, there are a lot of people that want to take an easy way out, and you have to, if you want to be uncommon and you want to do uncommon things, you have to create an environment to where it's acceptable to call people out and make sure they're doing things right. And you can't show up on the first day when you don't know somebody and just call them out and MF them and do whatever. You can't do that, because they're just going to shut off to it. You have to build that relationship first, like she said. And if you want to be uncommon, you have to do uncommon things, and accountability is a big piece of that. And again, you have to do it out of love, and you have to build that relationship. But that's something that if you want to win championships and you want to be really good, then you have to create that culture.
Amazing. Bash, what questions we have before we let him go for the night? I know they don't have schoolwork.
Right. Is there this Libby on YouTube? Would you say, is there any like particular book or personal development tool that's been impactful on your game?
Relentless by Tim Grover.
Tim Grover.
That was a good
Great
one.
one.
Good one. Yeah.
That's a tough one. I wouldn't say there's any one book. I like a lot of them. I think the four agreements, we read that every year.
Another good one.
Yeah, I love that one. I think it's just really good to just keep a mental check. That was my favorite.
Love it.
Paul, this one specifically for you. What was your favorite cutoff shirt with a picture on it that you wore of your teammates?
Where did that one come in from?
It came from me.
Oh, from you. Okay.
Yeah, it came from me. Sorry, I had to throw that one in there.
Man, I had a few really good ones. I had Ty Floyd in high school. He was probably about 160 pounds. It was just a funny picture. I had one of Garrett Edwards. He was like on the railing. It was a picture of Grant Taylor. He's right next to Garrett, and Grant's like standing up, like yelling at the pitcher or something like that. And Garrett's right next to him, scratching his nose, but it like the guy just took the picture of it right at the wrong time when it looked like he was picking his nose. So I put that on the shirt. So that was funny.
It's outstanding.
That was probably my favorite.
Few people understand the value of overlay. I don't know. There's a sport out there working across many sports that has the cultural relationship in the locker room of baseball and softball. It's harsh. It's brutal. A lot of times I'll get people call and say, "Hey, can you develop the culture?" I'm like, just let them sit in the locker room for a couple hours. They're going to pick on each other. They're going to make fun of each other. They're probably going to do some things that get them in trouble. Just let them go. They'll figure it out. I mean, some of the things that we did, we'd be kicked off campus for. So
yes. We got one more. I guess this from Christopher on YouTube. What are your top 2 mental skills to learn, practice, and develop? Or maybe just one mental skill that is important to you.
I would say probably just the amount of time to bounce back. I think Paul kind of said something similar to that, just as far as like how you have to do uncommon things. And I think it's uncommon to be able to give up a home run in the next pitch, like within 2 seconds, be able to turn your mind to saying, okay, so what, now what? Like I tell myself that all the time. Like, so what if I gave up a grand slam, if I gave up a home run, I don't care. I want the next one. Like there's no way that you're going to do anything about it now. So just being able to bounce back from that with not 3 pitches later, but literally 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think competing with yourself is the biggest one in baseball. Like, and I think that encapsulates a lot of different things. Discipline, integrity, doing things right. But when you look in the mirror at the end of the day, can you look in the mirror and honestly say that you worked as hard and did everything as intentfully as possible that day to get yourself better? Because in the end, you're going to have teammates everywhere you go, but they're not all going to be the same teammates. And if you can compete with yourself, that's a huge tool to have. That's going to get you really far, not just in baseball or softball, but in life.
Very key word there, competing with yourself. A lot of times I hear coaches say you compete against yourself every day. And my answer to that is you'll never win. Learn to compete with yourself. Before I leave you, Paul, you wanted to fly. What were you going to fly? What did you want to fly?
When I went in, when I was 6'4", I wanted to fly fighters.
That's my question.
I left, and I was 6'6", I probably wanted to fly C-17s.
Okay. All right. So what was the one that you wanted to fly at first? A-10? No.
Maybe a F-15 or an F-16. I'm not sure.
Okay. Montana, what would you want it to fly? I'm just kidding.
Well, I guess whatever one that he was going to do whenever he was like 6'2".
Yeah.
Real quick, as I'm going to let you guys go. Montana, you're playing for Team USA. What does the future look like for you? Where are we going? What are we doing?
The goal is definitely Team USA. I want to play in at least the 2028 Olympics in LA, and then hopefully my body will let me keep going for a little while, and then I'd love to play and compete for a couple gold medals. But hopefully USA is in the summer, and then I love giving camps. So camps for as long as I can, but competing for USA, healing up, and getting after
any
it.
college coaching or anything like that?
We'll see. I love coaching. As of right now, it's just the camps and kind of pouring that into the younger girls and leaving that kind of there. But, yep.
Good. Paul, you got a big one on Sunday night?
Yeah, I have no idea what comes after that.
Well, we know you're going to be playing baseball, and we'll be watching. I want to thank both of you guys for doing this. We're huge fans. Montana, you've inspired. I can't tell you how many people around this area. I told people that you were going to come on, and people are like, Montana Fouts, you know her? I'm like, a little bit sometimes. So many young kids. I know Karen Johns is on here, and there's a lot of people you've inspired based on this. The videos out there. You represented Alabama beautifully. You should have won you should have won the homecoming queen. We know that. Everybody knows that. You got screwed like a bad umpire.
Okay.
I know, but you're our homecoming queen, but you're the queen of Alabama softball. So thank you, and greatest to ever do it. Paul, thank you for what you did at LSU baseball. Most dominating single season performance ever seen in college sports in pitching. And my roommate kept talking about it. Todd Walker, who was an announcer, kept saying it's the most dominating thing I've ever seen. That's high praise for a guy who didn't even know pitchers existed. So, it's awesome to see. So thank you guys for the way you did it. Thank you for being dominating in a game of offense that pitchers are still the best athletes on the field. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You got it. Be good, and I'll be in touch with you. When we come back, we're going to answer some additional questions on I don't even know what to say other than that was amazing. And if you're a coach, a youth player, parent, I mean, stupid good. I mean, what's the thing that you took out of it the most?
Well, I think that, I don't know of any medium that had like two of the best pitchers in their respective sports on at the same time, just like chopping it up. I think that was cool just to hear the similarities, maybe a little bit of the differences, but like how they both were able to kind of utilize their own process to, get to the outcome that they desired. No, it's just really cool. Just really cool to see the human side. And, I think it's really cool to see, like, you see them on TV be so dominant, but at the same time, then they come on here and they give their time. Montana's got so much stuff going on. And then Paul's got the biggest day of his life coming up in like 5 days, 4 days, whatever. And just really cool.
Well, I will tell you, for the people who don't know, they're two of the best to ever do it off the field too. Listened, talked, and just allowed me to be a part of their lives in just one small segment. I mean, there was so much pride when I watched them pitch. Montana had the unfortunate injury coming down the gate and still went out there and dominated. I mean, come on, y'all. That's not easy. Paul, all those expectations kept building, and he had to be Superman every time he went out there, and he just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. They're just so good. So I'm just speechless. Just got a really nice text from Paul, and it just speaks to you. Make sure you follow up, and we'll.
He just now texted.
Yeah. So I'm just awesome. I know.
One thing, just to kind of circle back to your question, like, I don't think people really understand, like, the gravity of having the potential number one overall pick on this YouTube show.
Yeah.
Like,
and if softball had a professional, she'd be number one.
Two number one picks. Like, you would have two number one picks. Yeah. Was just the stats are absurd, but like, it was just really cool because I would have never. I've been around like number one picks, first rounders, for several years, and like, just the humility to be able to do that is like, it's pretty unheard of, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is, my adrenaline is pumping. Okay, I will eat dinner tonight with no problem, but my adrenaline's pumping that they agreed to do it. The anxiety I had leading into this to make sure that when I reached out to them, I said, I got this idea. The fact that I've been around them is cool. Like, I get to work with number one players in the world and winners, and and great coaches and all that. But I was like, I think they'll do this. And just the fact that they did it, I'm touched. So,
yeah.
And it was cool to pair the two of them. Neither of them said, oh, no, I got to have my own space. It was like, no, seriously, that's cool. Like both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Her or him? Yeah, let's do it. That's so cool. If you guys are out there and you're competing, the love of the game that both of these two showed of what they did. They wanted to be coached. They knew it was going to be hard. They knew the struggle was going to suck, but they wanted to be different. If there's a lesson from it, it's that lesson. Bash, I don't even know what to say. I think it's time to sign off because we got to go to the board. I mean, I don't even know where to go from this. So
yeah, you need to pick your jaw up off the floor first.
Yeah. I no. Seriously, guys, I'm awestruck.
Yeah.
Monday, July 10th is going to be at 8 p.m. Central Time. A little adjustment in time instead of 7 p.m. We're playing with the times a little bit just to kind of see what people want. We'll have a guest on. We'll come up with somebody good. Have to follow up that, but amazing. So thank you for putting this on. Thank you for Paul and Montana. Please follow them real quick. Follow Montana and what they do. What Montana has done to help youth sports and youth softball and the inspiring so many. If you follow the videos, you see young girls back there mimicking everything she does. She's an icon in the game and continue to be. Paul raised over $50,000 for Folds of Honor this year, honoring
really cool.
two former teammates or one affiliate with the program just before him and one of his teammates who unfortunately died in training at the Air Force Academy and raised over $50,000. So when people look at college athletes and like, oh, NIL this and all that, they're making a difference, y'all. Okay, and they will continue to make a difference. Root Paul on in the Major League Draft this week. Go Team USA for Montana. And until then, we'll see you guys Monday, July 10th.